If you want to love what you do for work and business, you need to know this one thing. Otherwise, you will spend your life chasing empty dreams with no real purpose. Hey, I'm Lauren Keys, and I've done the thing where you build the business, make lots of money, and feel empty and unfulfilled. I've also had numerous jobs throughout my early 20s and early 30s, so I know what it feels like to be just doing the motions, going to a job that you don't enjoy, knowing that there's more for you. Now, for the last 2 decades, and yes, I know that makes me sound really old. So, for the past 2 decades, I have just had so many different businesses and side hustles. And what I was doing there was I was just basically trying to find my thing. I was just always searching for what I was meant to do in my life because I just always felt so lost and I had no real direction. Now that I'm 37 years old, I finally understand this whole finding fulfillment in your work. Now, what I'm about to share with you in this video, I truly do wish I had it in my early 20s because it would have saved me so much time, energy, money. I probably wouldn't have gone through the anxiety and depression that I did go through because of all the pressure I put on myself to really find my thing. And I really struggled with that anxiety because I was doing work that was just misaligned with who I am, who God created me to be. And that misalignment can really affect your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health, because there's this inner tension and there's this inner conflict, like a war going on, because you're called, you're meant for more, you're meant to be doing something else, but you're not actually doing it. And so it creates all of this chaos and conflict inside you. So first of all, I want to give you guys a quick little background about my story. So like I said before, over the years, I've had numerous types of businesses and side hustles. Now, a lot of those businesses that I had during my early 20s, a lot of them were just all about me showing off. Look at me, look at how successful I am, look at me, I got to quit my job, blah, blah, blah. It was all about, making all this money, because I thought I would, joy and fulfillment would come with money. Now, the pivotal moment that made me realize that money wasn't actually the driving factor for me and that money wasn't actually going to fulfill me was when I quit my job with Virgin Australia. I was with them for quite a long time, and I quit that job to go and start a cosmetic tattooing business. So that's, I think in the US you guys call it permanent makeup. So I went and I started that business. I got a salon. I had an endless list of clients. I was making between $400 to $500 for just 2 hours of work. And I did this for about a year and a half until it just started to feel like a drain. It started to feel forceful. It started to feel like another job again. And I just did not like that feeling. I literally dreaded waking up and going to this business, and that's when I knew something had to change. Now, when I told my family and friends that I was quitting this business, that I was closing down that salon, everyone was shocked. They couldn't believe that I was throwing away everything I had built, that I was throwing away all that money. Something in me knew that it wasn't about the money. And even though I had people telling me, you can't do that, what are you going to do? And trying to change my mind, I was set in my heart. I was like, no, I have to do this. There was something in me that was pulling me towards purpose. Now, back then, I didn't understand that true fulfillment was going to come from me using my God-given gifts in a way that was going to serve and impact others. I had no understanding of this back then. Now, my overall goal for this video is to help you understand that true fulfillment in your work is only going to come when you are using your God-given gifts in a way that serves and impacts others. So you're going to have to get clear on who God created you to be. So you were born, you were given with these unique gifts and talents to serve in a way and make an impact. And when you combine all of this and you have God at the center of it all, that is when that true joy that you're seeking, it's going to flow through. And this took me such a long time to finally realize. And that's why I'm sharing it with you in this video. So first of all, I want to start with stop chasing empty side hustles. So whatever trends are sweeping the internet right now, avoid them. If you're here watching this video right now, I already know you're not wired that way. You're not wired to, chase quick money. Your heart is just not in it. And you're only going to feel drained and exhausted after chasing these empty pursuits. So I've also done the side hustle thing. I mean, you can have a look at my previous videos. There's been many, many other side hustles there, but I've done them all. And, after the initial excitement wears off, it just, you go back to that flat place and you're like, oh my gosh, like, what do I do now? And for me, because I'm 37, I just got to the point where I'm like, what am I doing? I'm a 37-year-old acting like an 18-year-old, doing all these like random side hustles on the internet. Like, I was just like, this has to stop. And so this is where I want to talk about getting clear on your gifts and talents. So what this is about is it's about reflection. It's about sitting down, journaling, praying, talking to God. It is about getting clear on who did God create you to be? What are you naturally good at? What do people compliment you on? Where do you find yourself naturally just being drawn to without even anyone telling you, or you don't have to force yourself to. So for example, in that cosmetic tattoo business that I had, I wasn't operating in my true gifts and talents. I was doing that business because, like, to be honest, at the time, I overheard someone talking about, these eyebrow tattooists. They charge like, $1,000 just to tattoo their eyebrows on, and you have to go all the way into the city. There was no one in my area who was doing it and doing it at a decent price that wasn't like that. So, a light bulb went off. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be the go-to person in my area, and I'm gonna charge half of that, and I'm going to, it was that business was all about image for me. It was all about having that, beauty, luxe, boss lady look with like the designer handbags, and I was into all that stuff. And there's nothing wrong with designer handbags, like I still have them, but I was just like coming from the wrong place at the time, where I was trying to prove myself, prove my worth, and I was just trying to have this image that wasn't truly me. And so I can see why that business, didn't work out for me in the long run, even though it was generating, a lot of money for me. But the funny thing happened in that business. So as I was tattooing people's faces away, my clients would just always start talking to me about their life and what they wanted to do, and they wanted to have their own business as well. And we would have these amazing chats that, just flowed naturally about life and career and what they wanted to do. And they were inspired by what I was doing. And so I found myself actually, like, I had more joy in having these conversations with my clients than I did actually tattooing their eyebrows. So I thought that was quite funny. So it's really important here to know who God created you to be, not who the world tells you to be. And if you are stuck on what to do in life, what direction to go in, what type of business to have, why not go to the one who created you and ask him, because he knows you better than you know yourself. Okay, the next point that I want to talk about is don't just start any business. So it's very clear, it's so clear that so many people are unhappy in their jobs, in their work life. They see the freedom of what can happen when they have their own business. And that's how I used to be. I used to just latch on to any old business idea out of desperation because I didn't want to be at a job. I had to learn the hard way because I wasted a lot of time, energy, and money chasing these pursuits that weren't actually for me. I was coming from a very desperate place. So now whenever I'm, talking to people, and this always seems to be the theme that comes up when I'm just talking with friends, family, random people at the cafes and shops, it's always about, I want to start a business, or I don't really know what to do with my life. And this is another little hint, another sign here of where you could be getting called towards, because it's something that people just come to you naturally for. And that's why the direction of this particular YouTube channel has gone in that direction now, because I've realized that this this is an area that I am called to really help others with. So anyway, back to what I was saying. So whenever I'm having these conversations with people and they tell me they really want to start their own business because they're just so over their 9 to 5s and they want to be at home with the kids, and I get it. I totally get it. I'm always asking these people, well, what's your motivation behind why you want the business? Is it purely for profits? Like, what's the driving force? Because if you're just going to go into this purely to make money, at the end of the day, you are not going to feel fulfilled. It's actually going to exhaust you. It's not going to satisfy you, and you most likely won't stick with it in the long run because your heart's not actually in it. And that's the thing that you've got to understand is when you are chasing purely profits, or you're trying to do a business, out of your ego, where it's all about trying to prove yourself or even show off your results, that type of business is not going to fulfill you. Eventually get to a point where you'll be like, why am I even doing this? In one of my other previous coaching businesses that I had, when I was into, all the new age manifestation stuff, like I was still very much trying to prove myself there. I was very much, I had moved on from my eyebrow tattooing business, then into coaching and helping people trying to manifest their lives. And the whole time I was so insecure. I was constantly trying to prove myself and show people, like, look at me, just look at me, look at my life and all that. And it felt so wrong at the time, but I thought that's what I had to do because that's just what the trending coach did back then. It was all about being fake. It was all about putting on a show of this amazing lifestyle that you lived. And so I went down that path of, doing all that and then realizing, okay, this is not working out for me. It felt off. But yeah, ideally your business, it should align with your unique makeup. So get clear on your superpowers, those unique gifts, those talents, that zone of genius. So for example, this YouTube channel that I have right now, this YouTube channel gives me a lot of joy. It's this content creator type business. This is what I'm loving because it allows me to use my God-given gifts and talents in a way to serve, because I'm using my creativity, coming up with all the different YouTube video ideas. I'm teaching, I'm speaking, I'm encouraging, I'm using these things which are a part of me naturally, and I'm doing it in a way that I'm serving, I'm helping others. And the main thing is I keep God at the center of everything that I do, because I know without God in it, it's empty, it's unfulfilling, and I can't do it on my own. So when you work from your gifts and not just from the grinding and from the hustling, and you keep God at the center of it all, that's when that joy and that fulfillment is going to flow. So that empty, unsatisfied feeling that you have, that is a signal. Don't ignore it. It's pretty much your heart is craving purpose. Your heart is just over all these empty trends that you're seeing online, all the fakeness behind it all. Like, you are craving depth, you're craving meaning, you're craving purpose. And so you got to listen to that. In a nutshell, you were created for meaningful work that reflects who God created you to be. And I'm pretty sure you already know what direction to go in or what to do, but you're not doing it because you're overthinking it. And if that's the case, you can check out this video here on how to stop that overthinking, because ultimately overthinking will steal your dreams for you, and you don't want that. So you can check out this video here. And if you love this video, hit that like and subscribe button.